Welcome to the series finale of Melbourne Music Tonight. I'm Max Gettler. Tonight on the show we're joined by singer-songwriter Fisher Joy.
Chalk it up to being young. I blame it all on slowly getting on. The future's arrived and the past refuses to leave. So I open my lungs and take my first breath on this present moment in time. The story's not over, but it's time that it got told. Gonna make my first impression a second time. Gonna make my first impression twice. I'm standing here and I'm upright, turning around to face the world, needing it head on. I'm standing here and I'm upright, let on damage, afraid of the ends, but I think I've found out who I am, yeah. As time goes by, I'm motionless. As I look ahead to what's before me, there's so many reasons why, but not explained now. How I came to be where I am now, where I am now, where I am now, where I am now, no. I'm standing here, and I'm upright, that I'm damaged, afraid of the ends, but I think I've found out who I am, who I am. I'm standing here, and I'm upright, turning around to face this world, needing it yet on.
Hello, welcome to Melbourne Music Tonight. I'm Max Gettler and I'm joined here with Fisher. Welcome to the show.
How you going?
I'm wonderful, how are you?
Good.
Cool. Thanks for coming.
No, thanks for having us.
So, how would you describe yourself as a musician?
I sort of come from a singer-songwriter, acoustic background. But because there's an absolute saturation of that, I try to do things a little bit differently. So half of what I do is also instrumental. So yeah, it's a lot of concentration on the arrangement of different things. But yeah, I sort of do incorporate the songwriting to it as well. So yeah, I do sort of dabble in other instruments as well. So they sometimes travel along with me as well. So depending on how I'm feeling is depending on how crazy things get on stage. But yeah, generally it's just your sort of acoustic singer-songwriter, but yeah, with the fingerstyle element added to it as well. So it's very percussive, and yeah, just different tunings, different ways of playing, just to make it a little bit different than what's out there. So yeah. Indeed.
Because you said you kind of dabble dabble in other instruments. What would those instruments be?
So the main sort of secondary instrument was piano, which of course then opens the window of synths and other things such as that. I've found myself playing bass in a band. I've found myself playing trumpet in a band. But yeah, it's always come back to what can I possibly do on my own. So a lot of the times that does sort of involve, things on the floor for me, such as, stomp boxes and loop pedals and that kind of thing. But yeah, most of the time I generally cut it right back just for ease of getting in and out and not having to worry about too many sort of sound issues, just trying to keep it as nice and simple. And it's probably a big lesson I've learnt along the way, especially when I sort of recorded an album and it was very self-indulgent. I did basically all of the parts on the album, so percussion, string parts, keyboards, everything else. And then of course the time came when it was okay, the CD's done, now I've got to hit the road and start playing these songs again. And yeah, when you strip it all back to just one acoustic guitar and one voice, it's like a completely different song, and you kind of have to essentially relearn how am I going to do this in that environment. So yeah, there's lots of adaptation and changing, and of course that that causes crazy ideas sometimes. Oh, I could do this, I could do that, and essentially you just come back to doing what you know. And for me, that was just doing as much as I could on one acoustic guitar. So that's what I tried to do.
And how would you describe your creative process?
That can be, a bit of column A or column B. I'll either come up with the musicality of it first. So a lot of it will happen for me just within the tuning of the guitar. So I very rarely play in just a standard tuning. So if I come across a new tuning or play around until I get something that sounds different, that tends to be the spark of inspiration. So it'll either turn into a very melodic instrumental idea, or I might be able to sort of, again, put some lyrics to it. So, and they may be lyrics that I've already previously written, of course, as well. So it never necessarily starts with the music, never necessarily starts with the lyrics. It can be just whatever happens. And as a songwriter, I'm so glad that I've literally kept every creative word that has popped into my head. Any of that I've put on paper, I've kept, and I'm so glad I did. And that's, again, probably another thing I would pass on to someone else, would be never throw it away. It's always there, and you never know in the future when you might be sparked by something else, and that might then come back into your head, which has happened to me a fair bit recently, actually. I've been struggling to write lyrics, so I've been actually going over a lot of that and and then suddenly something will come to mind. So what I'm saying is your new stuff doesn't necessarily have to be created in that new moment. It can actually be sort of something that's been kicking around for ages, but you can actually now adapt it into something new that you're working on currently. So a process, it's hard to put it down to a process, because it tends to come from different angles all the time, and it's normally it's the ones that don't have any explanation that tend to be the best, like the ones that just come out of nowhere and you're like, what, where did that come from? And they tend to be the ones that stick a lot of the time.
And what were the kind of stories that you wanted to tell?
Look, to be honest, a lot of the topics are pretty cheesy. Like most acoustic singer-songwriters, they tend to be about, love gone by and love currently and that sort of thing. But I try to keep it as as truthful as possible, even if it is just something in your imagination. I don't like to write about things I don't think I would understand. So
yeah.
How
do you feel when you perform those songs that you feel are quite truthful? How do you feel like? Does it make you feel like nervous or like just really?
Definitely. Especially a lot more of the personal stuff. I guess not so much that I'm worried about bearing all to an audience. Like, that sounds wrong. It's more so like wondering what they're thinking. I guess, like, if I was sitting in the audience and someone's trying to tell me this story, am I going to get it? Like, and there's a certain element of you just have to let that go. You have to just tell the story that you wanted to tell in the first place, and remember why you wrote the song, remember what you were feeling when you wrote that song, and try and convey that, whether people understand or not. And but it can be a very sort of personally daunting thing to do sometimes. Not to say that it's all sort of the dark personal thing. Sometimes it can be the creative side as well. Like if you imagine something, or if you've got quite a creative lyric, you don't want sort of people sitting there thinking, where is that coming from, or whatever else. But the truth of it is too, I found that if you're playing live, a lot of the time it's the lyrics are the one thing that tend to get not noticed so much, especially with the style of what I'm doing. It's a very visual way of playing. So as much as I love the lyrics being in there, a lot of the time they sit back, perhaps more so than other acoustic singer-songwriters who sort of rely on their storytelling a lot more. Because of the playing techniques I'm using, a lot of the time they stand out the front. So
indeed.
Yeah.
And where can people find you?
So there's YouTube and Facebook, both under Fisher Music, spelt P-H-I-S-H-A, which is just an adaptation of my surname. Mark Fisher is a very common name, so I had to come up with something else. And then, of course, Fisher, P-H-I-S-H-A, was already taken as well by a DJ. So I had to add music on the end. So Fisher Music, that's both YouTube and Facebook. And mainly playing live a lot. So if you jump onto the Facebook page mainly, you'll see a big long list of dates throughout Melbourne and sort of regional areas as well. So that's probably the best place to see it is live. If that's any big encouragement for everyone to go out and support live music, then that's the best way to see things.
Indeed. For more live performances and interviews, be sure to go to facebook.com/Melbourne Music Tonight. And thank you very much for coming to the show.
Thanks, matey.
looking out over the ocean as the sun awakes from sleep. I say goodbye to the peaceful nights as the morning's lights appear. As I stare in those reflections of light, this feeling embraces me, and I become one with this moment. Don't wait for me, just dive right in it first. Oh yeah, just dive right in it first. Oh yeah. The storm rolls over the ocean now. Trees tremble in the wind from afar. So we run and hide out under the shelter. Shelter that you and I can call our own. And the warm disappears but for a moment. We wait to watch it return. And when it does, we won't hesitate. We'll just dive right in it first. Oh yeah, we'll just dive right in it first. Oh yeah. 'Cause we will ride away and go chasing the tide into the wide wash dissipates until the waterline that can no longer be defined gives a backdrop of the sky and the water subsides to shore. Hey, yeah. We will run away and go chasing the tide until the white wash dissipates until the waterline that can no longer be defined gives a backdrop of the sky and the water subsides
Thanks for joining us on the series finale of Melbourne Music Tonight. We have had a plethora of musical talent joining us this season, ranging across multiple different genres and all with an interesting story to tell. The Melbourne music scene is a rich source of exceptional talent and passionate musical songwriters and artists dedicated in creating original content and great music. It's exciting to acknowledge that we've only skimmed the surface and showcased a mere taste of what's out there in Melbourne's independent music culture. I'd like to extend our sincerest gratitude to the bands and artists involved throughout this series. Without you, we wouldn't have had much of a show, if any. Be sure to check out Melbourne Music Tonight on Facebook for complete coverage on our artists, including additional performances and extended interviews. For the last time, I'm Max Gettler. This has been Melbourne Music Tonight.
Ain't it hard all to take when the storm starts to form and your heart starts breaking? You're with me or not, you don't have to tie no knots, but don't be misbehaving, don't be misbehaving. It's a long ride, take it high, everybody knows that you don't need to rush this. Reality's a long word, taken to the last word, added to the pieces. Just say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see it in your eyes. Say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see through your disguise. Just say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see between the lines. Say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see it in your eyes. You fight back while you serve, evil is a bad word, everybody knows it. But still you don't mind the pain, a new step every day. I'm asking if it's worth it. You should know I see straight through your actions. Any you spinning words about how much I hurt, but you never tell me, I never heard it. 'Cause I would step back, take out my words to stop conversing, never heard. Isn't that what you taught me? Just say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see it in your eyes. Say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see through your disguise. Say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see through your lies. Say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see it in your eyes. I've heard it all before, I can't ignore it, but I try to pick between the gaps I'm learning where it's at and mine. Reasoning's back to the way that I had it all before. And though I try with all my force, I still believe there's a reason that we must go. I can stay. Oh, just say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see it in your eyes. Say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see through your disguise. Say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see between the lines. Just say what you wanna say it to my face so I can see it in your eyes. Say what you wanna say, what you wanna say, what you wanna say. Say what you wanna say, what you wanna say, what you wanna say. Say what you wanna say, what you wanna say, what you wanna say. Say what you wanna say, what you wanna say, what you wanna say.